Trump pardons Nevada politician who paid for cosmetic surgery with funds to honor a slain officer. Yeah, so I heard about this yesterday or the day before, just in passing, very casually. Heard mention of Trump pardoning some lady who embezzled fallen police officer memorial funds to pay for plastic surgery, which sounds like something out of The Onion. Um, this sounds like satire, but satire is dead. In this era, in the era of the Trump era, in the Trump era, satire is dead, and so this actually isn't all that surprising, but still wild and no and newsworthy regardless. Las Vegas. President Donald Trump has pardoned a Nevada Republican politician who was awaiting sentencing on federal charges that she used money meant for a statue honoring a slain police officer for personal costs, including plastic surgery. Michele Fiore, a former Las Vegas City Councilwoman and state lawmaker who ran unsuccessfully in 2022 for state treasurer, was found guilty in October of 6 counts of federal wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. She was she was out of custody ahead of her sentencing, which had been scheduled for next month. In a lengthy statement Thursday on Facebook, the loyal Trump supporter expressed gratitude to the president while also accusing the U.S. government and select media outlets of a broad, decade-long conspiracy to target and dismantle her life. And bro, come on. Is the new uh, Trump wave of conservative politicians just going to be like maximum victimhood mentality? Are they going to be full on, like, full throated conspiracy theorists that the deep state and that, like, the government and everybody's out to get them? Bro, this is like bordering on schizophrenia. Like, this is political schizophrenia right here. The White House has confirmed Fiore has been pardoned but does not comment on the president's decision. The pardon issued Wednesday comes less than a week after Fiore lost a bid for a new trial. She had been facing the possibility of decades in prison. Federal prosecutors said at trial that Fiore, 54, had raised more than $70,000 for the statue of a Las Vegas police officer who was fatally shot in 2014 in the line of duty, but had instead spent some of it on cosmetic surgery, rent, and her daughter's wedding. Michele Fiore used a tragedy to line her pockets, federal prosecutor Dahoud Askar said. FBI agents in 2021 subpoenaed records and searched Fiore's home in Las Vegas in connection with her campaign spending. In a statement, Nevada Democratic Party Executive Director Hillary Barrett called the pardon reckless and a slap in the face to law enforcement officers. Fiore, who does not have a law degree, was appointed as a judge in a deep red Nye County in 2022, shortly after she lost her campaign for state treasurer. What? Wait a minute. Fiore, who does not have a law degree, was appointed as a judge in deep red. Oh my God. They they elected somebody for judge who doesn't have a law degree, who's not a lawyer. What is happening? She lost. I can't even get over that. What? What? For real? Hold on. I need to take a pause here and click on this link and see what the heck. I need to see more about this. Hold on. We have to take a test. So this was released in December 20th. This article was released December 21st, 2022. GOP firebrand Michele Fiore appointed to Nevada judgeship. Following years of controversy, a former Las Vegas city councilwoman who moved to rural Nevada County after losing a bid in November for statewide office was appointed unanimously Tuesday evening to a local judgeship. Republican firebrand Michele Fiore, who does not have a law degree, will fill a seat on the Pahrump Justice Court in Nye County through 2024. Pahrump is located about 65 miles west of Las Vegas. Her appointment to the bench over 17 other applicants marked the latest chapter in a decade-long political career marked by scandal, including reports of an FBI probe into her campaign finances and accusations of physical assault. In a pitch to Nye County commissioners Tuesday night, Fiore said she would approach the judgeship with integrity and honesty because she has been at the end of the political barrel. Oh my God. This lady, oh, she is part of the new generation of insanity. FBI agents subpoenaed records and searched Fiore's home last night in Southwest Las Vegas in connection with her campaign spending, the Las Vegas Review-Journal reported. Earlier this year, she was sued by Las Vegas councilwoman Victoria Seaman, who accused Fiore of breaking her finger in a physical fight at City Hall in January. The two were once good friends and close political allies. And while serving in the state assembly from 2012 to 2016, Fiore gained national attention for her support of rancher Cliven Bundy and his family during armed standoffs between militiamen and federal law enforcement officers in Bunkerville, Nevada in 2014 and Mahler, Oregon in 2016. My understanding is that those standoffs were like basically a bunch of insane libertarian thinking people who didn't want the government to do something that was very reasonable. I don't remember all of the details around this. I can't remember every single thing that happens politically and all the details, but my understanding was like the government wanted to do something somewhat benign and reasonable, and they were just like they absolutely spazzed out, and really leaned into the whole libertarian anti-government stuff. So for her to be openly supportive of them is, I need to do more digging into it, but my gut tells me, and my memory vaguely tells me that that's wrong and stupid. Fiore said Tuesday that she moved to Pahrump a week after she lost to incumbent state treasurer Zach Conine, a Democrat, in the November 8th general election. Fiore had joined the race. Why didn't she say that the election was rigged, bro? It would be so I guarantee you at some point in her future she's going to claim a rigged election, but I'm surprised in this one that she didn't claim a rigged election. Maybe because it would be so ridiculous to argue that they rigged the Nevada state treasurer position against you, but like still, this is ooh. Fiore had joined the race on a penultimate day of Nevada's candidacy filing period in March after campaigning for months as a Republican gubernatorial hopeful. After the last-minute jump, the race for control of Nevada's government finances drew significant attention across the state as Fiore's past issues with the Internal Revenue Service resurfaced. She was once on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax liens. Fiore said Tuesday night that she is ready to start a new life as a Pahrump girl. Oh God. She details plans of living on a 2-acre lot that she said she had purchased over the summer, as well as completing a bachelor's degree and taking the Nevada State bar exam in the future. Bro, come on, stop. You guys really elected somebody? Is there nobody else with a law degree who ran? You guys elect the schizophrenic nut job to be judge over somebody with a law degree. Oh, it's so painful. She was elected last June to complete the unexpired term of a judge who died but had been suspended without pay amid her legal troubles. Pahrump is an hour's drive west of Las Vegas. In her statement Thursday, Fiore said she plans to return to the bench next week. Nye County said it is awaiting an update on Fiore's current suspension from the State Commission on Judicial Discipline, which told the Associated Press in an email that it was aware that Fiore had been pardoned, but that it didn't have further comment on her situation. Fiore served in the state legislature from 2012 to 2016. She was a Las Vegas councilwoman from 2017 to 2022. While serving as a state lawmaker, Fiore gained national attention for her support of rancher, blah, blah, blah. I already went over this. So, is that the end of the article? I was hoping this article would give more information on exactly how she embezzled the fund. I'm going to see if this link tells me a bit more information. Nevada GOP politician who ran for state treasurer headed towards trial in fundraising fraud case. A Nevada Republican who ran unsuccessfully for state treasurer in 2022 pleaded not guilty Monday to and headed towards trial in 2 weeks on federal accusations she used funds raised for a statue honoring a slain police officer for political and personal costs, including her daughter's wedding. The new charges brought to seven The new charges brought to 7 the number of wire fraud and conspiracy counts against Michele Fiore, a former state assembly and Las Vegas city council member who had been suspended with pay from her elected position as a justice of the peace in rural Pahrump. Each count carries a possible penalty of 20 years in prison. Fiore had pleaded not guilty July 17 to 5 counts of criminal indictment, or 5 count criminal indictment. Fiore and her defense attorney, Michael Sanft, argued her right to a speedy trial, and U.S. District Judge Jennifer Dorsey in Las Vegas said jury selection will begin September 24th. Sanft and federal prosecutors Dahoud Askar and Alexander Gottfried told the judge they expected trial can be completed by the second week of October. Oscar and Gottfried declined outside court to speak with reporters. Neither Fiore nor Sant commented to reporters about the case. They were accompanied by Fiore's friend Sigal Chada, a lawyer and conservative GOP firebrand who lost a bid for state attorney general in 2022 to Aaron Ford, a Democrat. Chata is also representing one of 6 Nevada Republican. Okay, there isn't really much more information in this article. So I don't think, did it say the judge? This seems like this, I feel like supports the argument I've heard, or an argument that I've heard that there's sort of a reverse Darwinian process going on with the Trump administration right now, that they are selecting, there's a selection bias for the worst, most sycophantic possible people. And so it's like, this is I feel like the culmination of that. This is the pinnacle of all of that. Is you have people like her getting pardoned. There just imagine for half a second that the Democrats had somebody like this who had these charges against them, who had the judge coming out making strong statements that they actually did this, and then they came out and pardoned her. There it would be World War III. The Republicans and conservatives would go absolutely nuclear. And so this is this is so beyond the pale. I mean, everything we see from this administration is very beyond the pale, but like this is just this is like not so many things are beyond the pale because they're really bad. They have like a really large tangible effect. You know, you get food stamps, X number of people, X millions of people are going to lose their access to food and whatnot. This is just this is just so stupid. Like it's that impactful, right? It's not like billions of people are gonna lose access to food because she gets pardoned, but, like, it's just so stupid. Why? Just why? No reasonable person would look and read this article about her or look into her and be like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, Trump is based for doing this." Nobody's doing that, or no reasonable, sane human being is doing that. This is just I oy, oy, oy. All right, let's move on. Here's one more article on it. I'm just going to go through this really quick. It was about the same issue, so let's see if it has any new information. Last week, Donald Trump issued one of his most outrageous pardons to date, rescuing Nevada's Michele Fiore from a prison sentence despite her conviction over flagrant corruption. The White House has never The White House never even tried to justify the move, and there was no great mystery behind the motivation. Fiore has been a Trump loyalist for years. She's been described as Nevada's Lady Trump, and in this administration, it's likely the president didn't need any additional information. But yeah, that's a good point. Trump probably didn't give 6 shits about exactly what she did or the charges against her. He did not care. All he cares is that she's Lady Trump. She's been a sycophantic, extremely loyal supporter of him, and that's all he cares about, period. But as it turns out, this was one of 2 such pardons issued around the same time. The details of this one admittedly get a little complicated, giving. Wait, President. All right, I'll just read this quote. President Trump has pardoned a Florida healthcare executive whose mother played a role in trying to expose the contents of Ashley Biden's diary. The pardon of the executive, Paul Walsiak, was signed privately on Wednesday and posted on the Justice Department's website on Friday. It came less than 2 weeks after he was sentenced to 18 months in prison and ordered to pay nearly $4.4 million in restitution for tax crimes that prosecutors said were used to finance a lavish lifestyle, including the purchase of a yacht. The details of this one admittedly get a little complicated, giving Walsiak's mother's role in the bizarre stories surrounding the Ashley Biden diary. But let's not overcomplicate matters. There's nothing to suggest Walsiak was involved in the diary saga, and his criminal conviction was totally unrelated to the controversy surrounding the former president's daughter. Rather, we have rather what we have here is a Republican donor from a Republican family who was caught siphoning off tax payments for his employees repeatedly over the course of a decade in order to finance an extravagant lifestyle. Through Walziak's professed Though Walziak professed his innocence, he was ultimately convicted and was poised to spend a year and a half behind bars, that is, until Trump decided to intervene in his case. 2 weeks ago at sentencing, U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara, a George W. Bush appointee, told the defendant, "Unfortunately, there's a perception in this country that the criminal justice system only works in favor of the rich and against the poor. To just let Mr. Walsiak walk away because he came up with $10 million to pay the debt reinforces that perception. The rich get away with it and the poor go to prison." The judge added that Walsiak is not entitled to a get out of jail free card. Evidently, the president came to the opposite conclusion, helping fuel a different perception in this country that the criminal justice system increasingly works in favor of those aligned with the man in the Oval Office. As regular readers know, during Trump's first term, he effectively wielded his pardon power as a corrupt weapon, rewarding loyalists, completing cover-ups, undermining federal law enforcement, and doling out perverse favors to the politically connected. As Trump prepared to leave the White House after his 2020 election defeat, the Republican issued some of the most controversial pardons in American history. After his second inaugural, he wasted no time in picking up where he left off. On the first day of his second term, Trump issued roughly 1,500 pardons and commuted the sentence of 14 Jan 6 criminals, including violent felons who were in prison for assaulting police officers. A few days later, he kept going, pardoning 23 anti-abortion rights advocates, seemingly unconcerned with their guilt. That was soon followed by a pardon for former Governor Rob Blackjavic, a man synonymous with corruption in Illinois politics and whom Trump saw as an ally. So I want to click on this really quick and see the 23 anti-abortion rights, what that is. Trump finds another group of political pardon. Oy, oy, oy. Down the rabbit hole we go, guys. Down the rabbit hole we go. When Donald Trump sat down with Fox News' Sean Hannity on the third day of his second term, God fucking damn it, go away, you stupid ad. Piss off. Sean Hannity on the third day of his second term, the president had plenty to say about pardons, specifically his immediate predecessor's use of the tool. "This guy went around giving everybody pardons," the Republicans said in reference to Joe Biden. There was some irony to those comments. After all, roughly 48 hours earlier, Trump issued roughly 1,500 pardons and commuted the sentence of 14 Jan 6 criminals, including violent felons who were in prison for assaulting police officers as his first term came to an ignominious blah, blah, end. He similarly scrambled to issue a series of similarly scandalous pardons to his political allies. On the fourth day of his second term, the Republican kept the trend going. President Donald Trump signed an executive order pardoning 23 anti-abortion rights advocates Thursday, one day before he is expected to address thousands of anti-abortion rights demonstrators at their annual march in Washington. 23 people were prosecuted. They should not have been prosecuted, Trump said at the Oval Office signing ceremony Thursday, noting that many of them are elderly. "This is a great honor to sign. They will be very happy." That last point is very likely true. When criminals are pardoned, they tend to be very happy. That is very true, yes. Very big brain of him to make that observation. But that doesn't mean the pardons have merit. Roughly 30 years ago, as abortion providers and their patients faced intensifying violence, Democrats approved the Freedom of Access to Clinics Entrances Act, often known by its acronym, the FACE Act. The goal was simple. Opponents of reproductive rights were free to exercise their First Amendment rights and protest, but they couldn't commit acts of violence or prevent people from accessing legal medical services. Seems completely logical to me, makes sense. Biden administration enforced the law prosecuting and successfully convicting people who were found to have blocked access to reproductive health clinics. The Republican incumbent, a longtime proponent of abortion rights before entering GOP politics, wiped the slate clean for 23 such criminals on the eve of the 52nd annual March for Life in the nation's capital. In the process, Trump offered yet another reminder about what he thinks the pardon power is all about. Historically, the idea behind presidential pardons was to allow a chief executive to right a wrong or to protect the innocent. For Trump, however, pardons are effectively party favors to be handed out to people he likes, agrees with, and or sees as political allies. That's very well put. There seems to be no ideological or logical at all consistency with the way that he's applying these pardons. I mean, just look at the look at the January 6th pardons. Those are beyond the pale. Like, come on, guys. Come on. Imagine for half a second that Antifa or the left or some vaguely right any group left of Nixon does anything even close to January 6th, and then Biden or Hillary or Kamala comes out and pardons them, bro, it would be World War III. These people would lose their minds. Like, I know I sound like a broken record pointing out the hypocrisy of a lot of these self-described conservatives and Republicans, but like, and normally I don't like knocking down a straw man because I know there's plenty of them that don't do this, but like, there are even the ones that say they don't do this. So often when I talk to them, they are doing this. They are holding up this humongous hypocritical double standard with the way that they would treat Trump and literally not even any Democrats, pretty much just any other politician. And it's maddening. It's like there's, I don't know, it's like these people are so logical in their everyday lives. They may be an electrical engineer, or they may be I don't know, a pilot or something. They're really they're smart, technically capable people, but they just turn off. They just completely turn off their brain when it comes to politics. I don't understand. All right, out of this, get out of this rabbit hole and move on to something else. Okay, so